Bella Morrison knew desperation tasted like burnt coffee at 3 in the morning, but she never imagined it would lead her to stand in a penthouse overlooking the city, shaking hands with a man who just proposed marriage to a complete stranger. 6 months, Quinn Isaacs said, his voice steady and businesslike as he released her hand. That's all I need. My visa application requires proof of residency and marriage to an American citizen. You help me stay in the country legally and I'll pay off your mother's medical bills. All of them. Bella stared at the man before her. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair that fell slightly over his forehead and sharp gray eyes that seemed to calculate everything. He wore an expensive suit even at this late hour, and everything about him screamed wealth and control. Her best friend's cousin had connected them after Bella had broken down about the mounting hospital bills that were crushing her family. "This is insane," she whispered, but even as she said it, she thought of her mother lying in that hospital bed, of the collection notices piling up, of her father's exhausted face. "It's practical," Quinn corrected. "I've built a commercial real estate empire, but I'm Australian. My visa situation has become complicated due to some oversights by my previous lawyer. I need time to sort it properly, and marriage is the fastest route. You need money, we both get what we need. And after 6 months, clean divorce, I'll handle all the legal fees. You walk away debt-free with an additional $50,000 for your trouble." Bella's hands trembled. $50,000 plus her mother's medical bills paid in full. It would change everything. But marriage, even a fake one, felt wrong on every level. "I need to think about it," she said. Quinn nodded, surprisingly patient. "You have 24 hours. After that, I'll need to explore other options." She left his penthouse in a daze, taking the elevator down 43 floors back to reality. Her reality was a cramped apartment she shared with 2 roommates, a job at an art gallery that barely covered rent, and a family drowning in debt. His reality was literally above the clouds. The next evening, Bella called the number he'd given her. "I'll do it," she said simply. "Good. Meet me at the courthouse Friday at 9. Bring your birth certificate and social security card." 3 days later, Bella Morrison became Bella Isaacs in a ceremony that lasted less than 15 minutes. Quinn wore another impeccable suit. She'd borrowed a cream-colored dress from her roommate. There were no flowers, no photographs, no romance. Just signatures and a handshake with a clerk who looked bored. "You'll need to move in with me," Quinn said as they left the courthouse. "Immigration may investigate. We need to appear legitimate." "Move in with you?" Bella stopped walking. "That wasn't part of the deal. It's necessary. I have a guest room. You'll have complete privacy. But we need to look married, Bella. That means living at the same address." She wanted to argue, but the check he'd already transferred to the hospital proved he was serious about his end of the bargain. Her mother's treatment could continue. That was all that mattered. Bella moved into Quinn's penthouse the following Monday with 2 suitcases and a sense of surrealism. The guest room was larger than her entire previous bedroom, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a bathroom that looked like something from a hotel magazine. "House rules," Quinn said, standing in the doorway. "I work from home most days in my office. Don't disturb me between 8 and 6 unless it's an emergency. I have a housekeeper who comes Tuesdays and Fridays. Help yourself to anything in the kitchen. We should have dinner together at least 3 times a week to maintain appearances." "Appearances for who? We live alone." "Habits make the lie believable," he said. "If we're questioned, we need to know each other's routines, preferences, quirks." He wasn't wrong, but it felt clinical. Like she'd signed up for a business training program instead of a marriage. The first week was awkward. They moved around each other like polite strangers in an elevator. Quinn left for meetings in the morning. Bella continued working at the gallery. They'd eat silent dinners where Quinn checked his phone and Bella pushed food around her plate, but slowly, things shifted. It started when Bella accidentally knocked over a vase in the living room, ceramic shards exploding across the hardwood floor. She dropped to her knees immediately, frantically trying to gather the pieces, terrified of breaking something in this palace of expensive things. Quinn appeared from his office and she'd braced for anger. Instead, he knelt beside her. "It's just a vase," he said quietly. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, surprised by the genuine concern in his voice. "Then it doesn't matter." He helped her pick up the larger pieces. "My mother gave me that when I first moved to America. She has terrible taste. I've wanted to get rid of it for years but felt guilty." Bella laughed despite herself, and she caught the tiniest smile on Quinn's face. "Thank you for the excuse," he added, and something warm flickered in those calculating gray eyes. After that, the ice began to thaw. Quinn started asking about her day over dinner. She learned he'd built his fortune from almost nothing, arriving in America at 22 with a business degree and relentless ambition. He'd started by flipping small commercial properties and built an empire worth millions by 35. "Why didn't you just hire a lawyer to fix the visa issue properly?" Bella asked one evening. "I did, 3 of them. The process would take years with no guarantee of success. I have deals pending, properties to acquire, investors waiting. I couldn't risk deportation." He paused. "This was the fastest solution." "Very romantic," she said dryly. He actually laughed at that, a real laugh that transformed his usually serious face. "Romance is for people with time, ideal in efficiency." But despite his words, Quinn wasn't as cold as he pretended. Bella noticed small kindnesses. Coffee made exactly how she liked it, appearing on the counter each morning. Her favorite wine stocked in the fridge, though he didn't drink it. When she mentioned missing her mother's soup during a particularly stressful week, a container of homemade soup appeared in the kitchen with a note. "My assistant's grandmother made this. Not your mother's, but supposedly good. It was good. It was thoughtful. It was confusing." 2 months into their arrangement, immigration services called to schedule a home interview. Quinn relayed the news calmly, but Bella felt panic rising. "They're going to ask us questions about each other, about our relationship," she said. "Then we need to prepare." Quinn's businessman mode activated instantly. "We'll spend this week learning everything about each other. Consider it studying for an exam." They spent the next 7 days in intensive question and answer sessions. Bella learned Quinn drank his coffee black, hated mushrooms, had a sister back in Sydney he video called every Sunday, loved classic cars but never had time to drive them, and fell asleep to documentary podcasts about architecture. Quinn learned Bella was allergic to shellfish, had studied art history in college, called her father every Wednesday evening, doodled on napkins when she was nervous, and secretly wanted to open her own gallery someday but lacked the capital and confidence. "Why secretly?" Quinn asked. "Because wanting things you can't have is exhausting." Something flickered across his face, an expression she couldn't read. "Wants aren't permanent impossibilities. They're just goals waiting for the right timing." The immigration interview arrived on a gray Tuesday morning. The officer was a stern woman in her 50s who examined every corner of the penthouse like she was searching for contraband. She asked invasive questions about their sleeping arrangements, daily routines, how they met, when they knew they were in love. Bella's palms sweated as she lied, describing a fictional romance at a commercial real estate conference where she'd been working a gallery event. Quinn backed up every detail smoothly, adding small embellishments that made it sound genuine. He reached over during the questioning and took her hand, his thumb brushing her knuckles in what looked like an unconscious gesture of affection. It wasn't unconscious. Everything Quinn did was calculated, but his hand was warm and steady, and Bella found herself holding on tighter than necessary. The officer finally left with a non-committal promise that they'd receive a decision within 6 weeks. The moment the door closed, Bella collapsed onto the couch. "That was terrifying," she breathed. Quinn sat beside her, and she realized he hadn't let go of her hand. They sat there in silence, the weight of their performance settling around them. "You were good," he said finally. "Convincing. So were you." She looked at their intertwined fingers. "We make a believable fake couple." Quinn's jaw tightened slightly, and he released her hand. "I need to make some calls." He disappeared into his office, leaving Bella confused by the sudden distance. Things grew complicated after that. There were moments that felt too real. Like when Bella got food poisoning from questionable takeout, and Quinn stayed up with her all night, bringing water and medicine and sitting on the bathroom floor to keep her company during the worst of it. She'd been mortified, but he'd been unexpectedly gentle. "My sister used to get sick all the time as a kid," he'd said. "I'm an excellent nurse." Or when Quinn closed a major deal and came home with actual excitement breaking through his usual composure. Bella had been painting in the living room, having converted a corner into a makeshift studio with Quinn's permission. He told her about the property acquisition, words spilling out faster than usual, and she'd gotten caught up in his rare enthusiasm. "This calls for celebration," she declared, and they'd ended up ordering pizza and drinking wine on the balcony, talking until 2 in the morning about dreams and fears, and everything except their fake marriage. The next morning had been awkward again, both of them retreating to safe formality. 4 months in, Bella's mother was declared in remission. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. Bella cried when she heard the news, right there in the hospital hallway, and when she returned to the penthouse, Quinn took one look at her tear-streaked face and pulled her into a hug. She melted into it, into the solid warmth of him, and realized with horrifying clarity that somewhere between the immigration interview and the late-night conversations, and the coffee made just right, she'd developed feelings for her fake husband, real feelings. Dangerous feelings. Bella pulled back quickly. "Sorry, I'm just emotional. Don't apologize." Quinn's hands lingered on her shoulders. "I'm glad your mother's doing better." His eyes held something she was afraid to interpret. She fled to her room and spent the evening spiraling. This wasn't part of the plan. Quinn had been clear from the start that this was business. She was an employee, essentially, providing a service. Falling for him was the stupidest thing she could possibly do. She started pulling away, taking extra shifts at the gallery, having dinner out with friends, avoiding the intimate dinners and late-night talks. Quinn noticed. Of course he noticed. He noticed everything. "Have I done something wrong?" He asked one evening when she declined dinner for the 4th night in a row. "No, I've just been busy. Busy avoiding me." Bella met his gaze and saw frustration there, maybe even hurt. "Our arrangement has 2 months left. I'm just starting to transition back to my regular life." "I see." His expression closed off. "That's practical." The word felt like a slap, a reminder of what this was. Practical, convenient, temporary, but Quinn started pulling away too, working later hours, taking business trips that kept him gone for days. The penthouse felt empty without him, which was ridiculous because it had never been her home anyway. She was just a temporary resident in his carefully constructed life. With 6 weeks left in their arrangement, Quinn came home from a trip to Chicago and asked to talk. Bella's stomach dropped. This was it. He'd found another solution, or immigration had approved everything and he didn't need her anymore. They sat in the living room, the city lights glittering through the windows. "Immigration approved my status," Quinn said. "The marriage satisfied their requirements for now. I'll need to renew in 2 years, but my lawyers are confident we can transition to a different visa category by then." "That's great," Bella managed. "Congratulations. Which means we can proceed with the divorce as planned. I'll have my lawyer draw up the papers. You'll receive the final payment we agreed upon." This was good news. This was what she'd signed up for. So why did it feel like her heart was being ripped out? "Perfect," she said, forcing brightness into her voice. "Back to normal life." Quinn was quiet for a long moment. "Is that what you want?" "That was always the plan. Plans change." His gray eyes were intense, searching. "Bella, these past few months have been unexpected," her heart hammered. "Unexpected how?" "I didn't expect to enjoy coming home. I didn't expect to look forward to dinner conversations and Sunday mornings drinking coffee while you paint. I didn't expect you." Bella couldn't breathe. "Quinn, what are you saying?" He stood abruptly, pacing to the window. The city spread below him like a kingdom he'd conquered, but his shoulders were tense. I'm saying this stopped feeling like a business arrangement somewhere along the way. I'm saying I've been lying to myself about what I feel. What do you feel? She whispered. Quinn turned to face her, and the vulnerability in his expression was startling. This man who calculated everything, who dealt in efficiency and practicality, looked completely uncertain. I'm in love with you, he said simply. I think I have been for a while, but I convinced myself it was just familiarity or convenience. But watching you pull away these past weeks has been unbearable. And I know this wasn't part of our agreement, and I know you probably want your freedom back, but I needed you to know before we end this. Bella stood on shaking legs. You love me? Yes. No hesitation now. I love the way you doodle on napkins and talk to paintings at galleries and make terrible jokes when you're nervous. I love how you care so fiercely about your family and how you've transformed that corner into an art studio and how you hog the remote on Wednesday nights. I love you, Bella. Not conveniently, not practically, just completely. Tears streamed down her face. I pulled away because I was falling for you and it terrified me. This was supposed to be temporary and you were so clear about it being business, and I didn't want to be the idiot who caught feelings in a fake marriage. Quinn crossed the room in 3 strides. You're not an idiot. I'm the idiot for trying to keep this clinical when there was nothing clinical about the way I felt. So what now? Bella asked, looking up at him. Now we decide if we want to make this real, actually real. No lawyers or contracts or expiration dates, just us choosing each other. That's terrifying, she breathed. I know. His hands cupped her face gently. But I've built everything in my life through calculated risks, and you, Bella Morrison Isaacs, are the best risk I've ever taken. She laughed through her tears. I love you too. I've been miserable trying not to. Quinn kissed her then, and it was nothing like their awkward courthouse wedding. It was fire and promise and 4 months of restrained feelings finally breaking free. Bella wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him back with everything she had, and when they finally broke apart, they were both breathing hard. So we're doing this, she asked. For real this time? For real, Quinn confirmed. No divorce, no separation. Just figuring out how to be actually married to each other. We should probably go on a real date first, Bella suggested. Since we skipped that part, Quinn laughed, that full, genuine laugh she'd grown to love. I'll pick you up at 7 tomorrow, wear something nice. We live together. Then I'll knock on your door at 7, he said. We're doing this properly. The next evening, Quinn knocked on the guest room door at exactly 7 wearing a suit that probably cost more than Bella's car. She'd bought a new dress for the occasion, deep blue that made her feel confident and beautiful. You look stunning, Quinn said, offering his arm. You're not so bad yourself, she replied, taking it. He took her to an upscale French restaurant where the waiters knew him by name. They talked and laughed like they had during their late-night conversations, but now there was no pretense, no fake marriage story to maintain. Just 2 people genuinely getting to know each other with honesty. Tell me something I don't know about you, Bella said over dessert. Quinn considered. I never wanted to be in real estate. I wanted to be an architect, but there was more money in buying buildings than designing them, and I needed money fast to help support my family back home. Do you regret it? Sometimes. But then I think about what I've built and who I've become, and I'm not sure I'd change it. He reached across the table for her hand. Especially now. I never told you why I really needed the money, Bella said quietly. It wasn't just my mother's medical bills. My father took out a second mortgage to pay for her initial treatments. They were going to lose their house. Everything they'd built together, I couldn't let that happen. You love them very much. They gave me everything. It was my turn to help. She squeezed his hand. Thank you for making that possible. Whatever happens between us, you saved my family. You saved me too, Quinn said seriously. I'd forgotten how to be human. I was just work and deals and building an empire but living in it alone. You reminded me what matters. They stayed at the restaurant until closing, then walked through the city streets hand in hand. It felt like a first date and a homecoming all at once. When they returned to the penthouse, they stood in the foyer awkwardly. I should go to bed, Bella said, gesturing toward the guest room. You should, Quinn agreed, but neither of them moved. Or, Bella said slowly, I could stay with you. Heat flared in Quinn's eyes. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He kissed her softly, then deeper, and led her to his room, to the master bedroom she'd never entered. They took their time, learning each other without urgency, just tenderness and building passion. When Bella finally fell asleep in Quinn's arms, she felt completely safe for the first time in months. The next morning, she woke to sunlight and Quinn watching her with a soft expression. This is a good look on you, she murmured sleepily. What, awake at 6:30 on a Saturday? Happy, she said. You look happy. I am happy. He pulled her closer. Move into this room permanently, not the guest room, here with me. That was very romantic, Bella teased. I'm working on it, Quinn said seriously. I've spent years being practical. You're teaching me romance. You're doing fine. She kissed his jaw. And yes, I'll move in here, properly. They spent the weekend reorganizing, moving Bella's clothes into his massive closet, rearranging furniture to accommodate her things. It felt symbolic, making space for each other literally and figuratively. On Monday, Quinn had to leave for a business meeting and Bella went to work at the gallery. Her coworker and friend Natalie noticed immediately. You're glowing, Natalie said suspiciously. What happened? Bella had kept the marriage secret from everyone except her parents, who knew it was initially an arrangement. Now she found herself explaining the whole story, how the fake marriage had become real, how she'd fallen for Quinn against all logic. That's insane, Natalie breathed. Also incredibly romantic. A millionaire fake marriage that becomes true love. You're living in a romance novel. It feels surreal, Bella admitted. Sometimes I'm terrified I'll wake up and it'll all be fake again. Does he treat you well? He treats me like I'm precious, Bella said softly. Like he can't quite believe I'm real either. Quinn proved it constantly. He started coming home for lunch to see her. He attended a gallery opening she'd organized, asking intelligent questions about the art and introducing himself to her colleagues as her proud husband. He surprised her with a weekend trip to a coastal town where they walked on beaches and stayed in a bed and breakfast and acted like actual newlyweds. I want to do this right, Quinn said one evening over dinner at the bed and breakfast. We got married for the wrong reasons, but I want to give you the romance you deserved from the start. Quinn, you don't have to prove anything. I want to. He pulled out a small velvet box and Bella's breath caught. This isn't a proposal since we're already married. But I never gave you a proper ring. The courthouse one was a placeholder. He opened the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring, elegant and understated but clearly expensive. It's beautiful, Bella whispered. Quinn slipped it onto her finger, replacing the simple band she'd worn for months. You're beautiful, and you're mine, actually mine, and I want the world to know it. Tears pricked Bella's eyes. I love you. I love you too. He kissed her hand where the ring now sparkled. More than I thought possible. 6 months after their courthouse wedding, they had a real celebration. Not a huge affair, but an intimate gathering in the penthouse with their closest friends and family. Bella's parents flew in, healthy and happy and overwhelmed by the penthouse luxury. Quinn's sister Video called from Australia, crying happy tears and demanding to visit soon. They exchanged new vows, ones they wrote themselves, promising love and partnership and forever without expiration dates. Bella wore a white dress she'd actually chosen for herself. Quinn's hands shook slightly when he slipped a second ring onto her finger, a match for the engagement ring. I promise to choose you every day, he said. To build a life with you, not just a business arrangement, to love you not conveniently but completely. I promise to be your home, Bella said, the way you've become mine, to support your dreams while chasing my own. To love you through practical days and romantic nights and everything in between. They kissed as husband and wife, really truly this time, and their friends cheered. During the reception, Bella's father pulled Quinn aside. Bella watched nervously from across the room, but both men were smiling when they shook hands. What did my dad say? she asked Quinn later. He thanked me for taking care of you, and then he threatened to destroy me if I ever hurt you, Quinn said with amusement. I respect that. I'd do the same if someone married my daughter. We don't have a daughter. Not yet. Quinn's eyes held promise. But someday, maybe, Bella's heart swelled. Someday when we're ready. No rush, he agreed. We have forever now. A year into their real marriage, Quinn surprised Bella by funding her gallery dream. He'd been working on it secretly for months, finding the perfect location, handling the business logistics, creating a legitimate business plan. You said wanting things you can't have is exhausting, he told her as he showed her the empty gallery space. So stop wanting and start having. This is yours. Your name, your vision, your gallery. Bella cried happy tears and kissed him desperately in the empty space that would become her dream realized. How did you do this? I'm a commercial real estate millionaire, Quinn said with a grin. I know people. Plus I believe in you, which matters more than any business plan. The Morrison Gallery opened 6 months later, featuring emerging artists Bella had discovered and nurtured. Quinn attended the opening in his finest suit, introducing himself to everyone as the owner's extremely proud husband. He'd bought 3 paintings that first night just to support her, hanging them prominently in the penthouse. You don't have to buy my artist's work, Bella protested. I'm buying what I like, Quinn countered. That they're yours makes them more valuable to me. Life settled into a beautiful rhythm. Bella ran her gallery. Quinn continued building his empire but made time for lunches and dinners and weekends away. They fought occasionally about small things, like Quinn's tendency to work too late or Bella's habit of leaving art supplies everywhere. But they always worked through it. 2 years after their courthouse wedding, Quinn's visa renewal came up. This time there was no pretense, no studied answers, no performance. The immigration officer interviewed them separately and together, asking the same invasive questions. Tell me about your relationship, the officer said. Bella didn't have to lie. She talked about falling in love accidentally, about late-night conversations and coffee made just right, and a man who'd surprised her at every turn. Quinn separately described Bella's laugh and her passion for art, and how she taught him that efficiency wasn't the same as living. The officer approved the renewal without hesitation. You two are either actually in love or the best actors I've ever seen, she said with a rare smile. Definitely in love, Quinn confirmed, taking Bella's hand. On their 3rd anniversary, they renewed their vows again, just the 2 of them on a beach in Australia where Quinn's family could attend. His mother cried. His sister gave a speech about how Bella had changed her brother for the better. Bella's parents, who'd become close friends with Quinn's family over video calls and visits, looked on with joy. 3 years ago, I married you out of desperation, Bella said during their private vow exchange. Today, I marry you out of choice. Every single day, I choose you. 3 years ago, I thought I was buying a convenience, Quinn replied. Today, I know I found my forever. You're the best deal I never knew I was making. They laughed and kissed and danced on the beach as the sun set over the ocean. That night, lying in their hotel room, Bella brought up the conversation they'd been having more frequently. I think I'm ready, she said quietly. For a family, if you are, Quinn rolled to face her, eyes bright even in the darkness. I'm ready. I've been ready since you moved into our bedroom permanently and made that corner your art studio and turned my structured life into beautiful chaos. Our beautiful chaos, Bella corrected. Our everything, Quinn agreed. 5 months later, Bella stood in their penthouse bathroom staring at a positive pregnancy test. Quinn found her there, frozen and overwhelmed, and simply pulled her into his arms. We're having a baby, she whispered. We're having a baby, he repeated, wonder in his voice. Then he laughed, actually laughed with pure joy. We're going to be parents. You're going to be an amazing father, Bella said certainly. Only because I'll have an amazing partner, Quinn replied. We'll figure it out together, like we figure out everything. The pregnancy was challenging but beautiful. Quinn attended every doctor's appointment, read every parenting book, transformed the guest room that used to be Bella's into a nursery. He talked to Bella's growing belly about architecture and real estate, and Bella would laugh and add stories about art and beauty. "This baby is going to be so confused," she said. "This baby is going to be loved," Quinn corrected. "That's all that matters." Their daughter was born on a snowy January morning, tiny and perfect and possessing her father's gray eyes. They named her Clara, after Quinn's grandmother, and brought her home to the penthouse that had transformed from a bachelor's space to a real home filled with love and art and baby toys. Quinn held Clara with the same focus he brought to business deals, completely devoted and slightly terrified. "She's so small," he murmured. "She'll grow," Bella assured him, watching her husband cradle their daughter. "We'll grow with her," and they did. The penthouse filled with laughter and sleepless nights and the beautiful chaos of family. Bella's gallery continued thriving, with Quinn's sister managing it when Bella needed time with Clara. Quinn scaled back his hours, realizing that some things mattered more than deals and properties. "I could have had all of this sooner if I'd just let someone in," Quinn said one evening. Clara was asleep in her nursery, and they were having a rare quiet moment on the balcony overlooking the city. "You weren't ready," Bella said. "We met exactly when we were supposed to. You believe in fate." "I believe in us," she corrected. "We took a practical arrangement and made it magic. That's not fate, that's choice. We chose each other every day." Quinn kissed her temple. "Best choice I ever made." "Second best," Bella teased. "First was asking me to marry you, even if it was for the wrong reasons initially." "Not wrong, just incomplete. I asked you to solve a problem. Turns out you solved loneliness, emptiness, and my inability to let anyone close. You solved me." "You weren't broken," Bella protested. "No, but I wasn't whole either. Not until you." They stood there, the city glittering below, their daughter sleeping safely inside, and everything felt complete. Bella thought back to that desperate night 3.5 years ago when she'd agreed to marry a stranger for money. She'd been terrified and desperate and certain it was temporary. She'd been so wrong. It wasn't temporary, it was the beginning of everything that mattered. "No regrets?" Quinn asked, as if reading her mind. "Not a single one," Bella confirmed. "You." "My only regret is that I didn't realize I loved you sooner. We wasted months pretending." "We were protecting ourselves," Bella said, "but we don't have to anymore. We're safe now, together." "Together," Quinn echoed. "Forever." And it was. They built a life that neither had imagined that night in the courthouse. Quinn eventually taught Clara about architecture, fulfilling his old dream through his daughter. Bella opened a second gallery when Clara started school. They traveled as a family, splitting time between America and Australia, building bridges between their worlds. On their 10th anniversary, they stood in the same courthouse where they'd first gotten married. Clara was 7 now, smart and curious and insisting on coming along. "Why are we here?" Clara asked, looking around the boring government building. "Because this is where Mommy and Daddy got married," Quinn explained, "before you were born." "But you got married on the beach too, I saw pictures." "We got married twice," Bella said. "The first time for practical reasons, the second time for love." "That's silly," Clara declared. "You should just marry for love the first time." Quinn and Bella exchanged amused glances. "You're absolutely right," Quinn agreed. "But sometimes love surprises you. Sometimes it shows up in unexpected ways." They took a picture in front of the courthouse, the three of them, a family built on an arrangement that had transformed into something neither Quinn nor Bella could have predicted. A convenience that became forever. A business deal that became true love. "Let's go home," Bella said, taking both Clara's hand and Quinn's. "Best idea you've ever had," Quinn replied, and together they walked back to their car, leaving the courthouse behind but carrying the memory of where it all began. Because sometimes the best love stories start with the wrong reasons and end with all the right ones. Sometimes convenience becomes forever. Sometimes a millionaire marries someone for a visa and discovers that what he really needed all along was not legal residency, but home. And Bella had become his home, just as he'd become hers. Not through grand gestures or perfect timing, but through coffee made right and late-night conversations and choosing each other every single day until temporary became permanent and convenient became forever.